Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Here I'd like to present and also give some explanation about this lesson plan. So without any further ado, we move to the first explanation of the lesson plan. The first one, here are the general information of the lesson plan. The name of the teacher is Dhiya Salsabila. The name of the school is SMP Darul Hijrah Putri. The subject is English. The grade is 8th graders. And the topic that we will discuss in the learning process is Yes, We Made It from chapter 11. The text type is recount text. And the skill are writing and speaking. And the time allocations are 1 times 15 minutes. And then here we have the core competences, but it has been already set by the government, so we just move to the basic competence and indicators of competence achievement. The first basic competence is 3.11 to compare social functions, text structure, and linguistic elements of several verbal and written personal recount texts by issuing and asking for information regarding personal experiences in past time, short and simple according to the context of their use. And then the indicators of this basic competence achievement is 3.11.1 is to identify generic structure and dominant language features of recount text, and 3.11.2 is to describe the generic structure of recount text. And then the next basic competence is 4.11 recount text. 4.11.1 is to capture contextually related social functions, text structure, and linguistic elements of verbal and written recount text, short and simple, related to personal experiences in past time or personal recount. And 4.11.2 is to create verbal and written recount text, short and simple, related to personal experiences in past time or personal recount by paying attention to the social functions, text structure, and linguistic elements correctly and in context. And the indicators of this basic competence is 4.11.1 to create a recount text about personal experiences in past time that is clear, effective, and efficient. And 4.11.2 is to present their recount text about personal experiences that is clear, effective, and efficient in front of class. And then for the next one, we have the learning objective or the goals of the learning process. In the end of the class, first the students will be able to analyze the generic structure of recount text through pair discussion in a good grammar and meaningful way. Second, the student will be able to write their own recount text about personal experiences. And the third, the students will be able to present their own recount text about personal experiences in front of the class in a meaningful way. And attitudes, values, focus are religious, nationalist, integrity, and mutual cooperation. And then the learning materials that we will discuss in the learning process, the first one is regular learning materials. There are fact and concept. In fact, we have the starting and also responding, either expected or unexpected. And the concept, we have the social functions. And the purpose of the recount text is to retell the stories or activities in past time. And then here are the example of the recount text. First, we have the first day school, and then the second we have embarrassing day ever. And here, first day school. I was a new student in a school that placed in a central city. I was moved to the city because of my parents' job. I was ready to come to my new school in the morning. I arrived at the school at 7 o'clock. The students in my class were staring at me when I introduced myself. They looked scary, but when I finished my introduction, I got applause and they were smiling at me with a kindness smile. I was very happy with my new things, home, school, and my friends. That's the examples, one of the examples of the recount text that we are going to discuss in the learning process. So next we have the principle. The principle here are the generic structure of the recount text. First one is orientation, the second one is events, and the third one is reorientation. Orientation is introducing the participants and the setting of the events, and the events is telling what happened in the chronological sequence, and the reorientations, it consists of optional closure of events or ending. And then the dominant language feature that will appear in this learning process is the first one, use past tense, of course, because the recount text is talking about the past time or the experiences in past time. So we are going to use the past tense. For example, here is I arrived at school. And then the next one is focus on individual people. First, use the word I, we, my friends, my classmate, and so on. And use words which indicates when, for example, an hour ago, last holiday, last summer, and so on. And also use words which indicates where the events took place. For example, in my village, in Bandung, in a bookstore, and so on and so forth. And then use action words, for example, at, met, went, said, spent, visited, arrived, and etc. Because as we know before, the recount text is going to talk about the past experience. So the dominant verb or the dominant action words that we're going to use is the past verb, of course. And the next one is the use conjunctions. For example, first, then, after the, before, at last, finally, and so on and so forth. The will indicates the sequence of the activities. And the next one is the procedure, is write recount text about personal experiences and present it in front of class. As we know, the skill that we're going to do and we're going to assess is writing skill and also speaking skill. And then the second materials that we have is learning materials for remedial, is a recount text about personal experience that is good, interesting, and precise, best by issuing and asking for information regarding its social functions, text structure, and linguistic elements according to the context of their use. Yes, the previous one we just repeat it. And then the learning materials for enrichment is social function, generic structure, and language features, and recount text both written and oral. And then the learning method that we are going to use in the learning process is the first one, the approach. We use the scientific approach. And then the learning model is CLT or communicative language teaching. And then here is the learning media that we are going to use in order to deliver the material. The first one is InFocus or LCD projector, and the second is hard copies, third is laptop, and also the fourth one is textbook. And then here are the learning sources that we use for the learning materials. The first one is the book from the Ministry of Education and Culture, and then here are from the internet, and also there are also the other relevant sources. And then now we move to the teaching and learning activity for 1 times 15 minutes. The first one, we have opening activity for 2 minutes. Here we have orientation, a perception, motivation, and also giving references. In the perception, we have connecting the learning materials or theme or activities that will be done to the students' experience in the previous level. Here, the previous level is the 7th graders because this lesson plan is created for the 8th graders. And then the next one, we only move to the main activity for 12 minutes. And then here we have in stimulation, we have literation activities. And students are given motivation or stimulation to focus attention on the topic by doing some ways. Here are the ways. The first one is viewing, observing, reading, and also listening. And in reading, in their own home before the teaching learning activities, students are asked to read material from textbooks or other supporting books from the internet or related materials about recount text about personal experience. And then in the listening, students are asked to listen to the material given by the teacher which is related to recount text about personal experience on chapter 11, page 167. And also create short recount text about personal experience, that is for hot. And then here in the problem statement, question or problem identification, this is for critical thinking. Here the teacher are going to ask some questions. Here are the examples. The first one, what is recount text? What is the purpose of recount text? And what are the generic structure and dominant language features of recount text? And then so the students are going to answer the possible answers. Some possible answer here are the first, the meaning of recount text is, the purpose of recount text is, and the generic structure and dominant language features of recount text are. And then the next one is in the data collection. This is for collaboration and critical thinking. There are some activity, observing the object or phenomena, interviewing the informant, collecting the information, and also reading other sources beside textbooks. And in the reading, students are asked to explore the knowledge by reading reference books about the how to make structured recount text that is good, interesting, and precise. And also there's also representing the activities. Learners do the following activities. Students work in pairs to analyze the general, functional, and dominant language features of the recount text based on the hard copies given. And the students discuss it with their partner. And the students are asked to create a short recount text that is for writing skill. Here are also discussing, reviewing, and exchange information about the first, how to make a good recount text. And yeah, that is. And here for the data processing, that is also for critical thinking. Students with their partner discuss processing the observational data in a way, discuss about the data, about how to identify structure of recount text about personal experience, how to describe recount text about personal experience according to the structure, how to make simple recount texts that are interesting and precise, that have been collected or summarized in previous activities, and then also processing information that has been collected from the result of previous activities. And here the students doing their performance in making a simple recount text. And in the verification, the student will present their simple recount text in front of the class. And then the next one is generalization. This is for communication. The students are discussing. To summarize, the first is deliver the result of discussion and also present the result of the classical group discussion or pair discussion. And here is the simple recount text that are interesting and precise, and also express opinion on presentations and ask about presentation and summarize the important points about simple recount text that are interesting and precise, and also answering some questions contained in the student's handbook or worksheet that have been provided, and also ask questions about things that are not understood, and also complete the competency tasks contained in the student's handbook or on the worksheet that has been provided. And here is some notes. Here are some notes. That is, during learning takes place, the teacher observes the attitude of students in learning, which includes attitude, discipline, self-confidence, behave honestly, resilient to deal with problems, of responsibility, curiosity, and also care for the environment. And the last activity is the closing activity. We sat here for a minute, and here the students are going to do some activities. They are making summary with the guidance of the teacher about the important points that emerge in the new learning activities carried out. So here the teacher will assess the creativity of the students. And the next one is scheduling homework, and the last, scheduling projects that must be studied at the next meeting outside school hours or at home. And the teacher also will do some activities that are checking student work completed immediately, student who have completed the project correctly and initially, and given a ranking number for the project assessment, and also give awards to the groups that have good performance and collaboration. Then the last information is about assessment, remedial, and also enrichment. The first one is assessment technique. Here are the affective or spiritual and social. This is the attitude assessment. This is the assessment of the attitude of the students. Here is the table of the example of the affective assessment. And also here is the note for or the explanation about the table. R for religious, N for nationalist, I for integrity, MC for mutual cooperation. And here are the aspect or criteria of the assessment, and you can see it. And then the next one is cognitive. We assess from the written test, and also psychometer. We assess from the performance of the student. From this learning process, the students are able to write down the recount text about personal experience. And then here are the rubrics of the assessment. Because as I mentioned before, that the skill that we're going to assess is writing skill and also speaking skill. So here are the rubrics of the writing skill. This is very clear. Aspect of the writing assessment are suitability, grammatical, vocabulary, and also clarity of meaning. And here are the rubric. Here's the rubric for the speaking assessment. The aspect of speaking assessment is grammar, vocabulary, comprehension, fluency, pronunciation, and also task accomplishment. This is very clear. And then the last one is the acknowledgement. Here are the acknowledgement from the headmaster and also teacher. Banjarmasin, May 1st, 2020. And acknowledged by headmaster and also teacher. Here are the names of headmaster, the names of the teacher, and then the signature of both of them. Okay, maybe that's all the explanation of this lesson plan from me. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your kind attention. I hope you are understanding. I hope you understand with the explanation from me. Thank you. And sorry for the mistakes. That's all. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.